more on it's just the more on let's talk about money. What y'all think is connection between the more and the more men has to do with men live that way, you know what I mean? I don't know too many they have, you know what I'm saying? But some have, you know what I mean? Don't mind me, I'm just looking at this David Ramsey map. No cap. On Antarctica's chest bone. Think about Mormons and me. I don't think that's been done before. I like the original. Shout out to the times. Welcome to 94 installed. Being number 94, no, honey. I know. You weren't expecting me to pop up like this, but I wasn't expecting you to pop up. How did you expect? But we popped. We just come in with an original thought, and a regular flow, nobody else is dropping. We do it. We looking at orientation. The word they gave us, spun us on the ball, did not include the lands, the surrounding lands of their own. So this ice age that is, according to what they want us to believe, they turned all this 1500, 1600, sticking on the banner. Don't they say that the noggins get more nogginish? Niggas get more niggerish as they approach the polls, and the races get darker as they approach the polls or something. What they say the races are dark. They check out these gateways, though. The gateway. Oh, outside the gateway. They put this gateway right here, underneath that. That's what they're looking for the customer. Even if they ended up finding the customer, the promised land over here, what they're trying to tell is that the master also has the drive outside one of these ice rings. Maybe the Prestor side outside this one because he said, nah, it's too high over here. They'll disregard you. It's too high over here. I don't want to set outside of that ice. It's too high. That's all fluid island, all kinds of stuff over there. I'm going to go to this exit right here. I'm going to set up shop. And you know, we were talking about Prestor John. And we will get back on our profile out to rock and the Jean flow out of here, you know, this investigation, things on here. But the same as the Christian anti-Christ is King David. They don't know that they have this inward hate for King David. You know, they love to focus on, well, he wasn't a perfect man because of this such and such. They had to make David imperfect because they had to declare their own perfect. You know? Before there was a JC and a Messiah, there was a Mashiach. So most of what that's coming from is coming out of this, you know, John, Prestor John. And they had to incorporate it in the New Testament, some of this magic, you know, and their spell operation. We're going to talk some necromancy. We're going to talk some mania and some necronomicon. Yes, never. But this is the magic. I can't make this up. Why is Prestor over here outside the gateway? What's Prestor doing behind the wall? Can't make this stuff up. Prestor John outside. He's showing you how to be in and out, very tough. What they call remote. What y'all think? The more man's got to do with the more. And why do races get darker as they approach the pole? There's some copper colored ruddy nuggets outside the pole. You know what I'm saying? Just, Robert Knox said, the races of man, the land of fire, the land of fire, que el fuego come, and digging on his neck. It is probable that the miserable, dark-colored population wandering on the outskirts of the land of fire are not red Indians, but a race analogous to the Australian. So in their mind, red is, like pig or pale or something, you know what I'm saying? What we know is that when they talk red, they mean ruddy, like brown, Indian red. Look at the Indian red crayon and look at your grandma. See that red complexion coming out, you know what I'm saying? And that copper, deep copper, mahogany tone, you know what I'm saying? That's the wood right there.
Watah to the family, Watah to the tribe, to Watah for tuning in. I'm surfing the wave with you because you're surfing the wave with me. Man, everything's been everything, has it not? And we just popping off because we about the KTC, the MHOE, and of course, dodging your own damn hijack. But we're going to get into it today. We're going to get into it today because this is a time of transition. And we about to pop off the fifth wave. And just like with anything, you got to have OTAs. You got to have that all-season training. So what I wanted to do today is just give you a simple belly flop. So if you're new to surfing the wave, this would be a good place to start. And if you've been surfing the wave, this is a good place for you to continue. With that being said, I want to kind of go over kind of do like a wave in review. You know what I'm saying? We always say, let's get it again like it's the first time. And in doing so, we've been able to stay consistent. But also at the same time, we've been able to keep it fresh and new. Primary mem sauce. Shout out to Yosef. So when it comes down to Templar and up, in review over the years before we begin this fifth wave, let's just kind of consolidate everything down. And when I sit back and I think about it, I drill things down to some basic topics, as it were. We focused on Job, Noah, and the precepts. Over the years, we focused on keeping the code. We talked a lot about platonic solids, the 9 code, the everything and the no thing. We talked about the art of storytelling, right? What's a romance and a hero and archetypes. We also talked about the ages, timelines, phantoms, and duplications. And we also talked about dragons, animals, types, kinds, man, and you. So why is it important to understand the patriarchs and the prestors? Number one, it's important to understand the consistency of the flow and the foundation. You see, they represent the prestors and the patriarchs. They represent a bottleneck, if you will, from which everything else flows. You see, this is why we took the time over the years to study the difference between the Adamic law, which is 3 laws: be fruitful, multiply, and rest. And then we talked about the Abrahamic law. And the Abrahamic law, there are 7 laws. And then we talked about the let me go backward. The 7 laws are the Noahide laws, the laws of Noah. The 8 laws are the laws of Abraham. And the 9 laws are the 9 laws of Moses. And once that law has been established, you really can't go back to the time before it. You know, it took me a second to realize that when you're talking a prester, that you're still talking about a star, a pre-star. And it all plays because it all has remained true. There are the prestors and the patriarchs. They're the mirror to which we compare their standard to our fallen state. The patriarchs and the prestors are the standard that we compare our fallen state to. Which leads into when you really start digging on the words and how things play and how these words evolve over time, right? When you learn the difference between the spelling of a word and the sound of a word, the vibration. For example, in our search for Prestor John, you're talking about septimania, right? I wonder if it's written in here. I don't even know if that's spelled it right. It might not be in the etymology. It might be in the Websters. Septimania. Uh-oh. And the reason why I bring that up is because when you hear septimania, the 7 cities of gold, names are titles are names, and we just hear the name of a city, right? But if sept means 7, then what do we know is a mania, right? Where you get maniac and maniacal. You're talking about a type of mental derangement characterized by excitement and delusion. Whose excitement? Whose delusion? In the late 14th century. Who had the madness for the 7 cities? Right? Who was worked up in a frenzy, a mad passion, right? A fury, which is all of what? Of uncertain origin. Perhaps the suffix root of men, right? To think. To think. And I don't want to spend too much time. I want to keep it moving. We have a lot to go through. And I don't want to keep you. I just want to kind of hit on some of the crests and troughs of the wave as we've searched over the years. What did Hawa create on the 6th day? Right? The living creature created man to think. You know, over the years, you've heard me say more than once that it's all what? It's all word magic. But understand what this man to think, this root, produces. You see why you shouldn't chase after Manete Juno? Do you know about Manete Juno? Because you're chasing a man. It's lunacy. Now you're talking about summoning, right? You know, as much as we talk about King Solomon, this 5th wave, we're going to get into his angels and his demons that he was able to summon. You know, I wanted to make sure that we pop things off with you hearing that Prestor John, because he's going to get into the necro what? Mancy. the Necronomicon. Right? Right? But remember, there's more than one root. So we're also talking about to project. Now you're talking about a mount, right? Or a hill, or a pyramid, right? We're just talking Tennessee, right? Orange Mound. We're just talking about Memphis, right? The Holy Mount, right? You see, Brother King brings up a great point. About these sons of Ishmael. But you have to put it in its proper context. So when you're talking men, you're also talking about that which what? Remains. Right? Talking about a mansion. Right? Something that is permanent. Uh-oh. Monk's Mound, huh? You're just talking about a monk? Right. A monolith. Monopoly, right? It's all monopoly money. Right, right. Excuse me, Shalaki. But when you're talking septimania, right? There's the precept. There's the concept. And it would appear, when you look up the understanding of sept, not kilt, which is funny, stone chisel. What is it? Sept. Sept is an enclosed area, right? Of what? As division of a nation or tribe. 1510s is apparently a different word, probably a variant of sect, right? Septum, wall, separating two cavities, especially the partition between the nostrils. Uh-oh. So we're just talking about if these mountains are trees. We're just talking about your nose bone being a tree, right? But we're only talking about a fence. Shout out to Joy World. Please continue support. Joy World. We just building a fence, right? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. But this is the fifth wave. Well, the fourth wave. This is just a recap. But we coming in hot. We coming in hot. We are coming in hot, right? But we're talking about a sect. A distinctive system of beliefs or observations held by a number of persons, party, or school within a religion, right? A sect. We dug on this before. We dug on this because we oftentimes remind everybody that, yeah, we're just a school of thought. We're our own little alcove. But apparently, us digging on the drop and surfing the wave causes a lot of other people to be uncomfortable. But that also explains why those that are not us but choose to choose up, they'll come over and dig on the wave, right? They seek their cut on the indigenous truth, right? Especially to separate themselves as an organized religious body, all right? Right. Now, what does it mean to keep the code? You know, you have to, it's, keeping the code is recognizing your prime directive. You know, there's a difference between the code and a code. You see what I'm saying? There is a difference. Let's open up a new tab. Now, we've gone over this on multiple occasions, and especially over here on Templar Up, I always try to bring attention to the fact that the beginning of the first law begins at the first verse. The law begins at the first verse. And when you take it out of context, you tend to miss out the importance of this second verse. And this is very, very, very important. Why? Well, you think that the conversation is between Hawa and those that were brought out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. There's a couple of things going on. First of all, you synthesize the house of bondage and the land of Egypt. You synthesize the two. And in actuality, they are different. Now, there's something else going on, which is, hey, how'd that? There's something else that's going on, and that is the point of the conversation. And what I mean by that is Hawa is not just talking to the children of Israel. He's also talking to those that represent the land of Egypt and those that represent the house of bondage. This is not a one-to-one conversation. This is a one-to-three conversation. And the reason why it's a one-to-three conversation is because Egypt, who represent, as far as the land is concerned, also left with them. And then the house of bondage with the children of Israel also left with them. What am I talking about? Well, again, we're talking about the difference between a Jaon or a John, a stranger, and a Gentile. And this is why this is important. Very, very important. All right, getting a lot of hijacks with that. What's in the page, you know? But yes, it's not the way that conversation goes that starts off Exodus 20 is not the conversation is not being had in the manner in which you've been taught it's been had. Now, why do I bring this up? Because we're talking about a star, right? And we're talking about a planet, right? And we've gone over how it is a beating out, spread it out, right? Where you get your plasma, right? In your plane, in your palm, right? Your what? Your tropical tree. What? Your field. So what are the beasts of the field, right? But we're talking about what? Your floor plan. Come on, man. Where is she at? That's the Prestor. Where is she at? Shall I close it? Let's open it back up. No, I didn't want to do that. It's not that one. Don't do that. Go back. Let's see. Where did I put it? That's the one. What are we talking about? That door, right? The entrance. You have to do what? Your check mark, your seven cities will always bring you to the door. The gathering, the walk, will always lead to the move, the hang, the entrance. Right? But we're talking about a star. Right? Other than a fixed star, right? So when we're talking about a wandering planet, a wandering star, right? Only talking about a star of unknown origin. What are we really talking about? And again, you've been surfing the wave. You already have been following along. You get it, you understand it, you know it. This is why the soul train is so important. Right. Bearded, tailed, hairy. Now, let this bake your noodle. Doesn't Esau means red ruddy means hairy? Right? Right. But you know, keeping it going. Again, all these things matter. Because you're talking about a wandering star, you're talking about a pressed star. You're talking about septimania. When you're talking about Avalon. When you're talking about Egypt. When you're talking about Persia. When you're talking about the sea people. When you're talking about the Moorish. When you're talking about the Hebrew. When you're talking about the Romani. All these are different code words for right here. But again, there's phantoms and duplications, myths and legends. We're only talking about the wandering Jew, right? The shoemaker. Right. The shoemaker. And when you dig on these legends and myths, interestingly enough, and look at all these places that has a reference to the wandering Jew. Look at this. I mean, if you get a map of the world, you're pretty much covered in the entire map based upon this wandering Jew, right? But when you're talking about the wandering Jew, who do you need to see? Oh, we're only talking Prestor John. Got it. Got it. So, take it back. Prestor goes to the priest. When we talking about Prestor John, I'm spelling it wrong too. Is that horrible? Oh no. Right, Prestor John. We're only talking about the Prestor. So what we're gonna do? Take a short little Levi, fall back, and vibrate. Obviously, the fire's been burning. but we're gonna keep the waters flowing. So we're gonna do a quick little pause, and then we're gonna do a little a part two to it all. So hopefully we won't have too much more to go. I don't think, because there's a lot when it comes to surfing the wave, and anything that we don't cover, then it would be neat for us to dig on as we kick off the fifth wave. Shabbat Shalom. Much hope to the family. Much hope to the tribe. I love y'all. Peace.